Okay, so let's get into Trump on dealing with Canada. This is from Global News. Trump thinks Canadians are mean and nasty for boycotting US travel and booze. Do we have this clip?
United States, Mr. Hoekstra. Canadians stay home, but that's their business. I don't like it, but if that's what they want to do, it's fine. If you want to ban American alcohol, that's fine. It doesn't necessarily send real positive signals in terms of they're treating us well. There are reasons why the president and some of his team refer to Canada as being mean and nasty to deal with, okay, because of some of those steps. But, that's Canadians' business, not mine.
He's not wrong.
The man is absolutely not wrong. And as a matter of fact, I think that he's reflecting the opinions of a great many actual Canadians as it pertains to our federal government, that they are mean and nasty, that they do awful things. They do it to us. Of course, they're doing it to the United States. It's nothing for our federal government to be rude and mean and nasty. That's what they are.
Carney ran an entire focused group campaign on elbows up, on fighting with the Americans, on being standoffish and adversarial with our former American friends, our best friends on the face of the earth. They ran a campaign on it. They were anti-Americanism for anti-American for political gain. I would describe that as mean and nasty. I don't think that the ambassador is wrong in his assessment, at least of this inherent anti-Americanism coming from the Canadian center and definitely the Canadian left.
Without question. Gone are the days where Canadians had an international reputation of being nice. Okay, we were 20 years ago, every Canadian used to remember when people used to stitch the Canadian bag on their backpack when they would travel internationally to signal just how nice they were, but that they were from a country that was just so pleasant to deal with.
Right.
You do that now and you're apt to get your butt kicked in an airport internationally. Gone are the days where we can consider ourselves a nice country to be from. No, this is the reputation that 10 years of having the Liberal Party of Canada as our government has got us. This is the result. We are now known as mean and nasty on the international stage. Awesome.
And you know what? I've said for a very long time when people say, oh, Canadians they're so nice. No, we're passive aggressive. Yes. You're reading us wrong. We're smug. And I mean we as the royal we. I don't mean me. I don't mean Lise. But, as a rule, Canadians are smug and uppity and snooty and passive aggressive, and people misread it as nice. I think our reputation of being nice is not well deserved, at least lately.
No, it's not. No.
Now, David Eby, one of Canada's most anti-American politicians, he takes umbrage with these remarks. I think we have a clip of this. Oh, look, interesting turn of phrase he's using there.
Oh, is it ever? I'm old enough to remember when somebody saying something like that would get them 3 years, a 3-year multi-million-dollar trial for mischief for using those words exactly right there. So David Eby says, let's hold the line.
And he says it to David Cochrane, I believe. That's that boiled egg of a man right there. He is, and I betcha, I haven't watched this clip, but I betcha David Cochrane, the federal government sycophant, doesn't even point out, hey, that phrase is illegal around these parts. Let's listen to this clip. It's 1 minute and 10 of just anti-American rhetoric.
Sense of, do the Americans sort of get it? I ask this because, you know,
think they
we've
get
seen
it
some
just
comments
fine.
from the U.S. ambassador to Canada sort of justifying the president's characterization of Canadians as mean and nasty in the negotiations, you know, expressing frustration over the retaliatory measures, like hauling booze off shelves, you know, which you've done in BC. I mean, what's your sense of just the depth of the understanding the Americans have about sort of the offense that has been done to Canada here?
You know, I really think that at the leadership levels, there's very little awareness. The ambassador specifically said that Canadians were mean and nasty for not buying American alcohol and for boycotting the U.S. in terms of travel. And at the same time, like, do they think that Canadians are not going to respond when the president says, I want to turn you into the 51st state and beggar you economically unless you you bow to the U.S.? Like, obviously, Canadians are outraged. I say Canadians stick with it, like, hold the line. But at the end of the day, we need to get past that. When the Americans come up to visit in British Columbia, they're saying things like, I'm sorry. Like, we're friends, we're neighbors, we're partners. Canadians feel the same way about everyday Americans. And I think the president is really out on his own on this.
Is this the same jerk who wanted to put tolls on the Alaska Highway through British Columbia on American truckers headed north to Alaska? That's the same guy who's like, no, we're friends and the Americans shouldn't talk bad about this. He was going to tariff American truckers on the highway the Americans paid to build.
Yes, he was. He was also amongst the first Canadian premiers to rip all American liquor off the shelves in British
Right.
Columbia and come out swinging against the Americans. The American, you know, is really funny because he's criticizing what the American ambassador to Canada is saying, whereas the American ambassador to Canada is like, sorry about that terrible, awful, accurate thing I said about you, Canada. David Eby and Doug Ford are in a foot race to see who can be the most out of touch premier in the entire province. And I would say right now, as of this minute, we're going to talk about Doug Ford later, but right now, as of this minute, David Eby holds the crown for the most out of touch premier in the entire country.
I guess it sucks that Hoekstra was talking directly about David Eby.
Yeah.
You know, like when he's saying you're mean and nasty because you did this petty stuff about taking our booze off the shelves, he's talking about you.
Yeah. And David
Eby.
The funniest thing is David Eby lacks the self-awareness to know that they are actually talking about him. So I can't wait to see this devolve in the media. I can't wait to see the American ambassador to Canada hear what David Eby just said. And hopefully it'll get to Trump, and Trump will drop a hammer on David Eby to teach him his lesson. Again, David Eby is the same guy that just commissioned the Chinese to build a whole bunch of ferries for British Columbia. So is he the best arbiter?
He's the guy who pulled American booze off the shelves, but then commissioned the Chinese to build BC ferries.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like, the self-awareness is completely absent. Next time, Ambassador Hoekstra is going to have to finish the sentence and then, like, say, semicolon, David Eby. So that he gets that we're talking about you.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't understand.
Yeah, David Eby says, hold the line, and the Americans are going to say, hold my beer, and punish him into oblivion. And it couldn't happen to a better person. Truly, it couldn't happen to a better person than David Eby.
Now we've got Mark Carney addressing the premiers. He's saying we're looking for the best deal for Canada.
Sure.
And we're only going to accept the best deal for Canada on the U.S. trade negotiations, which time's ticking. August 1st.
Well, we've heard this for the past 4 months, but do go on, Mark Carney. Let's listen.
Tell us how you're looking for the best deal for Canada.
We will have a discussion on the current state of negotiations with the United States. I will say that, as you are aware, our senior ministers, my chief of staff, myself, were engaged in continuous discussions. Minister LeBlanc will be reinforcing those discussions over the next few days in Washington with the United States. We are looking for the best deal for Canada. We are only going to accept the best deal for Canada. That is very much informed by our discussions. We understand as well that we all understand that the global trade environment is changing, and there are some countries that are pulling back, that are restricting market access. But there's even more countries that are opening up to market access, and the premiers have helped lead this with individual trade initiatives to Asia, to Europe, with partners around the world, we are building on those. And part of what we will discuss is how we can be best coordinated to building positive trade relationships with reliable partners.
I don't think so, Mark. Canada is going to get whatever trade agreement Trump levels at us. I think that's how it's going to go. And the holdup here is supply management, but nobody is allowed to talk about that Soviet-style nonsense that punishes farmers wanting to enter the market, makes it nearly impossible. And most of those farmers are from the West and drives up costs for consumers, hurting the least amongst us the most. But that's not on the table. And it is the sacred cow, sacred dairy cow. And here we are. We're all of our other industries are going to get screwed because of this, and nobody wants to even try to dismantle it.
Exactly that. And I just do want to point out how tanned and rested Mark Carney looks. Isn't it nice that Mark Carney gets to go on holidays?
Wimbledon will do that to a dude.
Come back looking all tanned and rested and ready to go. But he did say that he's giving this to Dominic LeBlanc, who has yet to be able to figure anything out for the country of Canada as it pertains to negotiating with the United States. But there is a reason, Sheila. There is a reason why the government of Canada is kicking the can down the field and dragging its heels as it pertains to getting a trade agreement with the United States. And that is simply because the more time that it takes to nail down a trade agreement with the United States, the more time Mark Carney's government has to negotiate with his friends in Europe. Okay. So every day that we don't have an active trade agreement with the United States gives them more opportunity to figure out their new European relationship with our European cousins, because according to Mark Carney, Canada is the most European non-European nation. So we're just going to keep a real keen eye on these talks with other countries that we're forging these relationships with, while at the same time pointing out the duplicity of the government of Canada as it pertains to the carbon footprint of trading with nations that are literally across the world.
Right. While Mark Carney being an advisor previously to the Prime Minister, who said there's actually no business case for us to trade with the likes of Japan, Greece, when it comes to our liquefied natural gas. Let's also not forget that those trade deals with the Europeans are held up by the same issue. CETA, which is our Canadian-European trade agreement.
Yes.
Negotiated, I think, 2017, 2018, still held up. Why? Supply management.
Yes. Yeah. We got all those cartels that need protecting, Sheila, the dairy cartels, the ones with a couple thousand votes in Quebec that are so important to the Liberal Party of Canada. We must uphold those guys while Western producers suffer and languish and go broke.
Yeah. And people who are arguing in favor of the dairy cartel, have you been to other countries? Have you looked in the dairy section of other countries?
They are so vast. Like going to the United States of America and just seeing their sour cream assortments. Okay.
Oh, I know.
Just enough to make my heart beat fast.
I know. And then what in Canada, we've got Dairy World, Lucerne, and Co-op Gold. And I'm like, ooh, Co-op Gold. Wow,
that's 20 cents cheaper. My goodness.
You feel like you've come into some money if you can get
pennies. It's a true story. This is where we're at, Canada.
I know.
This is where we're at.
People who are saying like, oh, Americans put hormones in their dairy. Don't even get me started on hormones in food. If you cared about hormones in food, you wouldn't eat anything with soy in it. You wouldn't even eat cabbage, but you have fallen for propaganda. And I'm someone who cares deeply about the things that I eat and hormonal regulation, definitely. But you know what you would have? Choice.
That's right.
So you could opt to buy Canadian dairy if you wanted to, if you believed the hormonal propaganda. You could opt to buy Canadian dairy, or you could let poor people buy whatever dairy they wanted.
Yes.
Or fancy people buy whatever boutique cheeses that they wanted. But
Yes.
we don't have that in Canada. We have
And all it's gonna
government-run cheese.
well, that's exactly right. And all it's going to take is a recession for some of these companies that are part of the cartel to fail anyway. Okay, to fail anyway. Fiscal mismanagement by the government always leads to a failure of private companies. And then when that happens, that's when we're going to find ourselves in food lineups
Yeah.
to get your sour cream, to get your cheese, to get your eggs, to get your milk, to get your whatever. Uh, Supply management puts us on a fast track for complete collapse of our system.
Yeah.
Our buying opportunities in Canada.
Yeah, well, while you're struggling to make ends meet, these guys just dump more milk. That's what they do.
We don't need this. Nobody
yeah.
needs
Oh,
this.
God, no.
We'll just put it down the drain.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. And don't send me the anti-farmer letters because I don't want to hear it.
Nobody loves farmers more than us.
Nope.
It's a true fact.
Doug Ford. He was thrilled to meet with Alberta Premier Daniel Smith. This is his ex-post. To extend our agreement. So they have a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding about energy projects.
Mm-hmm.
To extend our agreement to include Premier Scott Moe of Saskatchewan to build pipelines, rail lines, and trade corridors to move Ontario critical minerals and Western Canadian oil and gas to new markets. Okay, that's all wonderful until we hit Quebec or BC.
That's right.
So we'll just trade in between like Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, because Wab Canoe seems like normal on this stuff for an NDPer, and Doug Ford. But what happens when we go through Quebec? We get stalled and we can't go through BC. So
that's right.
Thanks, guys. Great, but great in theory, but in practice, no needles are moved.
This exact post from Doug Ford is the exact thing I'm talking about when I talk about political grandstanding and selfie culture in politics. So what this is a whole bunch of words that actually don't mean a whole lot. That you know how when politicians get upset at other politicians and they write strongly worded letters? Okay, when they're happy with other politicians, they do selfie posts like this. And this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example. So will this hash out to mean anything meaningful to the people of Alberta, Saskatchewan, or Ontario? We'll have to wait to see exactly how this will benefit us. Yeah.
I'm not confident when we don't have the rest of the country on board and we don't have a prime minister who's willing to force the rest of the country to meet their obligations under Confederation. Because if we can block trade, like it's one thing to have the federal government throw up trade barriers amongst us as provinces, but it's another thing to have the provinces themselves block trade. We may as well be just a bunch of Balkan states then, which is, I mean, don't threaten me with a good time.
Basically what we have. No, I'm so happy you said that because the prime minister of the country could force team other provinces to get on board with this. Okay. The prime minister could declare, listen, we're all getting along. We're all playing nice starting now, including you, Quebec, and we're all just going to get on board and we're all going to trade with each other. We're going to knock down the trade barriers. And he has not done that. Carney has not done that. What he has done is a bunch of glowing posts, social media, selfie times, to brag that they're meeting about it, but it hasn't actually gotten any results as of yet.
Yeah. No, and it still doesn't at the end of the day deal with BC and Quebec. When BC and Quebec are signing these MOUs with us,
then we'll have pom-poms. Then we might get pom-poms though. But until then, okay, another meeting. Okay, good for you guys. Where were they meeting? It wasn't over Zoom. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that for free. Okay,
I think it was at Huntsville, Ontario, at the First Minister's meeting.
At a fancy resort. I bet you it was at a fancy resort. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was Carney is there. It's the First Minister's meeting. It's in Huntsville. You know who's also simultaneously there? David Eby and I forget his name, in charge of Quebec. Those guys could have been there signing that thing, but they definitely aren't, making this thing all but meaningless.
Huh. Well, it's a good thing Canadian taxpayers sent all of the premiers on a 5-star this five-star vacation to get nothing done. Real great.
Yeah.
Real great. Awesome. Remember that when you're remember that when you're spending 2 weeks in your in-laws' basement for your holidays, Canada.
Right.
Remember this. Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna skip a few things here just for time, but while we're ragging on Doug Ford
Ugh.
for being just a butt kisser who doesn't do the hard things, he's praising Mark Carney in this X post. You know, he's praising Mark Carney like Mark Carney praises Trump. It's almost like a hostage video. Let's see it.
We don't have to take a back seat to anyone in the world, and we sure the heck don't have to take a back seat to President Trump. Again, Prime Minister, I want to thank you for joining us for this FMM. It's refreshing to some of us that have been around this table for some time to have a Prime Minister that has our backs, that are out there. He's a great community builder, and he's a brilliant businessman. And I'm confident that he's going to take the business approach to our federal government that we haven't seen for a long time. So thank you very much, everyone. And I guess let's get started. We don't have...
Wait. God, that's the
Stop
sound
it.
of...
He's already married, Doug. God.
He doesn't like you that way, Doug. Settle down. Oh,
You know, like
Doug's
we're just...
gotta...
Once again, we're all just supposed to forget that it was Mark Carney who advised Justin Trudeau to make all those bad decisions for the economy for 10 years. We're just supposed to forget that. I guess so.
Well, and to label him a brilliant businessman.
He's not a businessman.
He's not a businessman. He's a lifelong public servant who then used his relationships that he gained within the public service to benefit Brookfield. That doesn't make somebody a brilliant businessman. That makes him shisty. That makes him a brilliant shyster. That's what it does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
Doug.
greasy. He's greasy. He used his connections to enrich himself while making Canadians poorer.
That's right. That's right. Oh, Doug's got a lady boner for the Prime Minister. Look at it. Just look at it. It's embarrassing.
Oh, it sounds almost as suck-up-y as when Carney is kissing Trump's butt.
Oh, there's nobody that's done it better, Trump. There's nobody.
You're just so here. I'm here for your leadership. No one has led us the way that you have.
Just gross. So anyway, Canadian taxpayers, your tax dollars paid for that circle jerk to happen in Huntsville, Ontario. Just awesome.